Guys, you're most welcome to this new video tutorial with OSP Pro. In this video today I'm going to be explaining to you guys how to use functions. Now maybe before I proceed, I have this my video YouTube channel where you guys can always go and subscribe. Just type OSP Pro for you guys who have maybe never met my channel before. Please go and support me and subscribe. I have different versions, so that different videos there that you guys can always learn. You get? So I have very many videos there. Now let me just go back here straightforward. Let me show you something. Remember we said we're going to be using functions, so I'm going to go to my computer and I try to create a folder. So a folder I already have there inside my htdocs. Remember I'm inside XAMPP, I'm using XAMPP. If you're using WAMP server, it's okay. Now inside there I have PHP, so inside there PHP tutorials, so I'm going to just call it here PHP then tutorials. So here is going to be tutorials like that. Yeah, now we're going to be doing PHP tutorials, but now remember this is our folder, so I can just drag it and I drop there so that we have a folder. If this confuses you, don't worry, you can always do this. You come in here, open folder, then you go to your htdocs, then go to PHP, then select tutorials. Still okay, you should have the same thing with me. Now without wasting time, just want to use some few minutes here. I'm going to be showing you guys PHP functions. Functions. You get? So there's something called PHP functions. So these PHP functions help us if you want to make a project that runs fast, a project that maybe in a simple term organize your codes. It's good to use functions. So you always write your PHP syntax like this. Now inside here, remember we're going to be dealing up with functions. So what are functions? Functions just anything important. So if you want your project to be running for you, and also on the other way around to have something that's going to help you out, then functions is something very, very good, because your project is going to have something that can reuse. You can always reuse your project. For instance, you're going to just print a function to print hello world, then I explain to you more. Or function to create database connection, that if that function is called, let the connection be called at the same time. Okay, so in simple term, I'm going to just say maybe function maybe my name. So let me say that's a function my name. I'm not going to take any parameters, I'm not going to pass any parameter, but I'm going to tell you here function my name. So here if I define variable name is equal to maybe David. So if that's my name, or if my name is OSP Pro. Remember the PHP terminate. So if I want to print my name, I can simply say maybe maybe something like maybe my name is. So don't forget, I'm always going to concat that with name. Now remember, if I save this, remember inside PHP tutorials, if I save that and I come here to localhost that I'll have there, that's called PHP. Yeah, PHP then we check tutorials and come inside functions, we shall not get anything. You get? We are not getting any error. Why? Because you said my name and blah blah. So to define a function in simple term, this is it. This is called function declaration. So this is, you have defined your function in simple term. To print out your function, you need to get out of that and just say my name. So if you just say my name, remember a function does not take a parameter. So this is called function code. Function code. So this gives us a call in our function that we get to know how function works in a simple term. So if I save that, I try to refresh the browser, I do that, it should say my name is OSP Pro. You get? So this is how functions are used, and later on I'm going to be working with you guys most of the stuff which I'll be using PHP functions, and this is very, very important. Now this is complete beginners functions. The functions you are going to realize later on when you're using the project, it even makes your project to be more standard, especially if you're using function with PDO or something of that sort. You get? So in simple terms, that's what I have. For instance, if maybe I'm going to find another function here, let me just say I have here maybe something called age, and age maybe goes to 33 or 28, blah blah, whatever years you have. I can only say my name is blah blah and get, yeah, so I can always concat that and my age is, so I can always do that. So don't worry, because the other side I use double quote and this I use single. It's okay, your PHP will still work out for you because you have respected the parameters and it should work. Okay, so that one shouldn't bother you so much. You get? Yeah, you can as well use double quote if you find this not very fine on your side. you can always use a double quote in your project, and which is still okay. So that's still fine. So if you're using single quote, use single quote. If you're using double quote, please, you can always use a double quote. So in a simple term, that's how you can define functions. You can also take functions that maybe registers up a given user, like maybe want their first name, their last name, their date of birth. Now to pass such kind of functions, I'm going to show that when you go and type part of registering up a given user. Let me just try to say I'll remove this function off. You get? Or in simple term, this is the function we have. Let me just say we're going to do another simple function here, and that's going to be called DB connection. DB connection with PHP. So you can also create your simple function. Now here I'm not going to use PDO, I'm just going to use a simple MySQL so that all of us can move along with. You get? Now remember, you can always do this. You can say I have my function that calls for database connection. You get? Yeah. DB connection. But we're using a function. So in simple term, I can just say function DB connect or just DB connect like that. Okay? So DB connect is not taking any parameter. I'm just going to define my function there. Then I come in here and I say DB or it may say connection or con is equal to maybe MySQL I underscore what? Connect. So remember here I'm just going to pass my connection. So in a simple term I have there localhost. You get? I'm passing my connection there, and this is here is going to be root, which is the username, and then here password, and then my database. Let me say by default always in our database, they have test. So if you go here to our localhost there, if I just go here now localhost, we should have a database called what? There should be a database called test, or we can create any. So, but I have test already there. There's a database called test in our DB. So this database called test. If you check here, we have it here. Let me say we are going to be talking to this one, data, which is data is having phone, name, phone, and age. So we have that table database test, and that table is called database test, and the table is data. So if you check here, we have our connection. We are passing our what? Our connection. You get? So this is actually our database connection. So to return for the connection, you can even do your if statement here, the normal way. You get? If success or if connection. So what are you passing that? Maybe echo for us success. But remember, all what we are doing there, else do what? Else tell us failed. Maybe connection failed. Remember, you are doing all this here, but you can't print this out unless you call up this connection. You get? So when you call up this connection, that's when you can now let you know the connection. But remember, this is our connection name. So anyway, I'm going to be using my stuff. I have to pass this parameter. You get? So this parameter is always going to be called to give me a connection. So if I move this now here, and I go back here, you get? So nothing I get. But in simple term, if I come in out of this hole and I say now calling function or calling the function, so this gives us a chance that if I'm calling the function, I can always pick the function name, which is db underscore connect. Get? So db connect. So db connect, if I save there, I can always get my connection name, which should suffice success. If I pass here something funny like that, it will definitely get to know that what I've given is not correct by giving me or echoing for me MySQL error, which definitely tells me the IP address or the address to that given server is not found. So in simple terms, that's how you can create a connection using the other stuff. Now remember, this is our connection, and you have passed your connection here. You get? So this is it. You have returned your connection. Now we don't need this to be returned, and we don't also need this to be returned. We only want to return echo for me error connection only. So at the moment, that implies I need to deactivate this part of the parameters of my stuff. That implies now this connection of mine, if next time I'm going to use it in a page, I need to define this somewhere first. You get? Give assumption this is a page that has my connection. So you don't need to return this in this very page. You can just return this on the next page, which is having your connection. For instance, if you create a page called index.php and you want to pass this connection in, if you don't want to use this very page, you can just use this function here called db_connect, which is going to be in the top of your page. That implies you need to say require db_connection. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So this is what I may say. For instance, we have index.php. If you're using this version of MySQL, it's still fine with you. So inside here, I can always come back here to my PHP and I say, you know what, we are going to turn our connection. But remember, we are going to require. So I'm going to say require once what? db_connect. You get? Connection.php. But that's not enough. You get? So if you're saying db_connection, it's not enough if at all this is not activated. So we shall not get anything. So if I go back inside here, our page, and I just come and move this off, good, and I shake. Now, by default, it just pushes us to index.php, if you guys have forgotten. Now, we are not getting any error. Now, if you want to access success there, if I return that success, remember, I've put the success, I've echoed it out. You get my point? But remember, it cannot pick. It can't pick that connection. Why it can't pick on the connection? Is because you have not called the connection. You get? You have to call, you have to move out of the function which you are inside there. So that means indirectly here, I have again to get now my connection, and that's going to be this connection name. So in a simple term, that's the connection we have to get. And if I pass my connection there now, good. So this is the function call. You get? Yes, my friends, that's the function call. The very function we happen to call inside here, then gave us access that's now bringing for us the connection. So this is what passes down on your PHP variables, or passes down. You call your function. Now this here, you can't build a construct, you can't do something like that. Why? Because in a simple term, we're just using this local level PHP, and also the other way around, we are not looking into having those given stuff within our project. So that product gives us know that if I'm going to use that in our PHP, we need to understand that whenever I'm calling for a PHP variable, a function, I need to do that very fast. So let me just try to, sorry for delay, just okay. So now here, if you guys now check, if I now run this after enabling this, and I come back here and check here, that implies my connection is successful. Good. Now I don't need this to be shown to me. I only want shown to me when there's error. So it means you're doing a simple PHP, but you're using functions right from the database definition. So that's good. So next time here, we need now to pass our stuff. What are we going to pass? You know, fetching records. Yeah, fetching records. Remember, we have some records in our MySQL database. But now remember, you have already passed your connection. You have required the file, which is that, and I've also passed your connection. So here, I can just go back here and I say maybe MySQL is equal to, I'm fetching the record from the MySQL database. And that table is called data. And this is name and the phone and the age. So if I'm doing that now at the moment, I'm just going to say maybe select everything from the table, which is called data. That's enough to pass the data. You get? So if I want to create associate array on my data, I'll simply do something called echo, and I create something called brief, which gives me a chance to do that. So just try to turn this here like this, and inside here I'm going to print that given array of data. So this is going to be a print array of data, whereby this time is going to be SQL. So that's enough. But now remember, this can't print for us here. There's a problem somewhere, which you guys need to note that. Look, this can't print for us what we want. Every much you have done the right thing. It's just going to echo for us, select everything from the data. Why? Because you are printing out this. So to echo for you that thing very well, you need to do something called a con. Remember, con is standing from connect, which is our connection variable here, and we are passing it here. You get? So that's going to be passing to query. So we are passing that to query, and in a simple term, if I do this, we should have our record there down. So if you check here again, we should have undefined variable con. Sorry. Undefined variable con, where are you? This is con connection, which is passing this. You get? So we have this file here, connection con. So this is connection. You check that very well. So they're telling me call to a member function query on null thrown to that line 6. It's okay, let me check that very well. SQL is go to con. If I don't want to use this, we try to just check this MySQL I underscore query, which should be giving me here con, and that's it. So if I'm turning that version of MySQL, oh, expect pyramid 1 to be MySQL null given that. Fine, sorry. It's giving me that because from our connection here. So now there's some way or a way how you can pick this connection here, but that's much possible only if you're using either OOP or you're using PDO. Now to minimize that, fine, we have our stuff which is this, and we want to fetch from here. Okay, let me just take it back to the normal MySQL a bit. So I'm going to just disconnect for me, or disconnect for us the connection, and here I just try to turn off this off so that you can get that given stuff like so. And here if you try to use this very MySQL connection for me, select everything from data, this should pass for us a query, and if I do this, I should get a record in this format. So whereby here it shows me where the objects and where is it coming from. So I think you can see it's pointing for us which one is an object and where is it coming from. If you want to reprint that given record, remember this is our record. If you want that, I can also just dump them, just dump the record. So maybe echo for me something called Johnson. I don't get Johnson, I'm just going to say var dump. So just var dump. var dump from what? SQL, which still is a good process to fetch for us that given stuff. And this is actually posting for me that given array of record, the field, the results, the column fields, and the rest. If you want the real record of the data, you can just maybe just say, I want that real data. You can create a row, PHP loop, and then you say that's equals to having something called MySQL I underscore fetch underscore assoc, which gives you a chance if you're not going to use PHP object. So that's also good. So here we can now pass our stuff, like here we have row, echo for me what? We have name, if you guys remember that. So here I'm going to just pass my stuff. Just do this. Maybe let me just do that. Maybe this is phone, and that's age. What I'm talking about is this. We have this record here, phone name, phone age. So if I save here and refresh this, we should get that record within there. Okay, so we have the phone name, phone age. Great, and that's what we have within there. So guys, thanks for watching this short video, but I'm going to explain to you more about really how to use a function. Now, a function can always be good, but there's one thing I've discovered here. On this function call, for you to call this function on using this MySQL, which low version MySQL is going to bring for you or throw for you an error. And I'm not ready to show you something called handling errors, like something called error reporting to null or to 0. This is going to be a confusing statement here for now. I'm just going to do that. Then I just create for you a simple with the function, and then I show you how you can always call a DB function. Remember, whenever you're defining up a database and you're creating up a function, this is what you guys need to know. You either do one of the two. You either pass your database inside a function, or you pass your database inside a class. So if you can create a class, you can even extend another class of your connection. Or if you create a class, that's going to be a good method whenever you're explaining up a given function. So whenever someone tells you to make a function, you can use a function to do this kind of stuff. Or you can actually make a function to call for your stuff. For instance, we have seen how this works. You get? Give assumption, I've commented that. You get? So we don't have the record. That implies at the moment, if I refresh here, we have nothing. But I can create a function that can pull from that record. Remember, we have our database connection. So the function to fetch what? To fetch record. Now, function to fetch record, what do I mean? I'm going to just create a function and I say maybe fetch data. That's our function. So which data are we fetching? We're fetching first name and last name. But remember, when fetching, I don't pass any parameter. You get? So what am I going to do? I'm just going to do the same thing within here. The very thing we did there is what I'm actually going to pass there. You get? I can even pass the complete loop within there, because all my record is just within there. You get? So if I pass the very thing there, I have my record. But remember, if I save this query, I will get nothing. It's until a function is called. So this one ends somewhere there, and then this one closes. So here, I just need to pass something called fetch data, like so. So if I save that, I do that, that's enough. So you find that here, it knows that that stuff is. Now there's something also which I need to let you know. Look, it's saying undefined variable that. So there's something which I would have told you like before. That's when we defined this thing here, db that. So when you're calling a db that, you're moving outside a function. Like now here, our database is not inside a function close just and open. To bring it here, inside here, you have to first define something called global. So you have to say global for me what? Global for me connection. You get? Now it's the very same thing we were to use if we decided the database to be inside a function. Now I didn't want it to have that because that implies every time where I move to, I first need to say global for me DB connection. But I said no, you can only now at the moment instead of global for me DB connection, because I know if I say global for me DB connection, I don't need now to pass this. I don't need now to say global for me also connection. Get my point correct here, my friends. If I happen to say, my point is this, if this statement or if this query here never had this statement, if we never had this, you get? If I have this at the moment and I'm calling it inside here, means if I'm going to call it here, I need to say global for me DB connect, you get? And then I just pass my variable. But if you have something like this and you want this result to work out for you, I need to global the connection, because the connection inside there is unknown, so it can't be predictable. That's why if you global a connection here, this connection, you turn it to global, you'll echo no error, and your result will be successful. My friends, if you have happen to understood or you have happened to get my point concerning functions, please you comment down below. If you have any query, please also update me. But in simple term, whenever you're dealing up with the functions, I will show you more. Now this is low version MySQL, sorry, PHP, because if you're using OOP or PDO, you'll discover that it just moves out, because we shall need to build a classes, and those classes we're going to build are going to have our database connection, and at the same time we can create an object which is going to give us a chance on the time of creating up a constructor or construct. So guys, thanks for watching.